Slave DiBiase.
All right, y'all. All right, y'all. Y'all know where y'all at. Y'all know where you be at. This is We the People TV, and this is another live episode of the Offenders Initiative podcast. All my stoneheads, all my true offenders, thank y'all for pulling up. Whether you digest this content in passing or religiously, I just want to say thank you for pulling up. Now, I know I'm an hour late, which is why I knocked everything back to 5:20 because I was making a Costco run with my family. Stay out my business. But y'all know exactly what we're here for. It's Monday, so that means we're talking about it. Welcome to Derry. Episode 6. Did everyone see that? Let me know in the comments right now. Did you see that? And let me know in the comments right now what you're smoking on. Salute to Jamie Lanier for pulling up. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Everybody that supports, whether you smoke or not, if you pull up and just, have a time with me, man, I really, really appreciate that. Because you could have been anywhere in the world. You could have been anywhere in the world smoking, but you're here with your boy. Thank you. All right. Welcome to Derry, episode 6. It was crazy. It got creepy, but I feel like it was a build-up episode. Everybody tell me in the comments what you're smoking on. Let's roll up something. Let's get into it. Again, I am still smoking on the Flying Horse Summer Runs and Candy Rain. Get you some. Do it 3-in-1. Let's get it. Right now, we're going to react to some content by way of who these good people called. Movie Files. Hold on for a second. All right. Let's get it together here, y'all. By Movie Files. Yeah, this is by way of Movie Files. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Movie Files, man. We appreciate them and everything they do, and let's give it a watch. Roll up, light up, let's get it.
Everybody, and welcome back. Today we're diving deep into the 6th episode of It, Welcome to Derry. Now, after last week's return of Pennywise the Dancing Clown, we take a trip back to Mrs. Kirsch's past and learn about her complex relationship with her father, Bob Gray. Meanwhile, we watch some of our characters get to experience a moment of joy and happiness before it all comes burning down.
Before we go any further, how many people knew Mrs. Kirsch was on some bullshit? Like, we knew she was super duper crazy. We knew she was some kind of crazy. How many people knew?
That said, time to take a sip of some Air Force Coke and enjoy some of these characters' last moments before saying goodbye. Let's unpack everything that happened in this episode, full spoilers ahead. We open with a flashback that's shot in black and white that takes us back to the asylum. That's in 1935, as we see a nurse who my identity is revealed later that she wakes up a little girl by the name of Mabel and takes her downstairs to the basement. Mabel didn't want to go down there in the first place.
What you trying to take a nurse to? You trying to take a damn child to the basement for? And then she said she didn't want to go down there. None of this sounded right to me.
This nurse assures her that there's nothing to be afraid of. As they arrive in the basement, it's here that we learn that Mabel was told to meet a clown down here. And suddenly, a single bright red balloon floats into the frame, which looks so vibrant against the black and white setting. Mabel's afraid and tries to leave, but the nurse has her stay.
So a child says a clown said to meet her down there, and you took her ass down there. You already crazy.
Watch as the balloon drifts towards a doorway, and slowly Pennywise's hand emerges, grabbing the string, and then he shows his face. It's important to remember that this 1935 setting will be the time period that season two takes.
I'm loving the fact that every season is only season 2 and 3 have already been approved. So next season we're gonna go back to 1935, and then season 3 will be in like 1901 or something like that, 1908, so around the early 1900s when it first came or first emerged. You know what I'm saying? So I like how they're gonna go back 27 years every season. It's dope. I'm going to continue to say it because it's just a dope fact. And if they write it and direct it the right way, this could be a smash television show. I'm telling you.
Place, and also remembering that that's where the Bradley massacre occurred, which will most likely be the bloody event that that particular season will lead to. This opening scene serves as a key moment for not just this episode, but also serves as.
And of course, we all know what this season is leading to, right? The bloody event that this season is leading to, season 1. If not, we'll talk about it in a second.
The exact same purpose as the 1908 flashback did in episode 3. These are basically small previews of its violence, but also gives us a preview of what to expect as far as the characters and somewhat of the story as well. Now, I anticipate season 2 will explore more of what we're seeing in this opening scene, as it involves this nurse who we later discover is Mrs. Kirsch, and maybe we'll even get more of little Mabel's story and her first encounters with it that most.
Do we really think they're gonna backtrack and show little Mabel's story? Because spoiler country around here, Jack, little Mabel gets turned into puppy child. Yeah, she don't make it.
Likely led her into this asylum at a young age. Now, back in 1962, with our main characters in our story, we find Will is getting a talking to and yelled at by his father on what happened in the sewers, which led to the death of Russo. Now, there's no question to what Leroy experienced in the sewers, as he's telling Charlotte about its abilities and its shape-shifting skills, and having been responsible for the deaths of many soldiers on the mission. Leroy demands that Will remains at a Derry, and he will not leave his room without his father's permission, but Will tells him no.
Will tells him no. This is 1960 what? And Will told his father no. We're about to see the results of the no in 1960.
Throws Leroy's own life lesson back at him, telling him that a man never backs down or hides from trouble. But this is where the line is crossed. When Leroy says that Will isn't him, Will responds by telling him he's right. He would never let his friends die.
Oh, low blow, Yaxie. Hold up. If we can remember last episode, Leroy was about to shoot his actual son because he thought it was it playing a mind trick with him in the cave. He thought he was seeing some shit that wasn't there, which he would have been right to think that. His buddy, the captain, Russo, jumped in the way and took the bullet for his son here. So even though, I'm sorry, I know he's a kid and all that, but low blow, Will. Low blow. You don't say, come on. I wouldn't let my friends. That's a low blow, man. Come on.
That obviously being a direct reference to Russo's death. Now we watch as Leroy reacts by slapping his son in his face.
Nah. Ain't no slapping him. He punched that boy in his face. Let's call it what it was. He punched him in his shit.
This is a breaking point between father and son, as we see Will tells his dad that it has already gotten to him, referring to not just the fear, but the control and the internal conflict as he rides his bike back to Derry, choosing to fight along his new best friends. Meanwhile, back in Derry, we find some of the townspeople hanging and passing out.
Is it just me or all the parents in Derry like the worst parents in history? Like there's literally a monster, a shape-shifting monster out there eating kids, and you allowed this little boy, after him telling you no, to not only still live in your house, but to get on his bike and be able to ride the fuck off to go hang with these other children that are sure enough gonna get his ass turned into puppy child as well.
Wanted signs of Hank. Little by little, we see the anxiety, the anger, the fear, and tension building around the town because of the Hank situation, and of course, this all having been created by it in anticipation of one of its oncoming bloody events, and that being the black spot. Now, back with the kids, this is where we see its true victory in this episode is achieving division among them. Lily explains to them what happened when Pennywise stopped in front of her with the weapon at her feet. Now, after the Maddie bait and switch created by Pennywise, we see Lily is on edge. Now, you can see this look in Lily's eyes as she's potentially questioning who she can trust, especially after what happens to her later in this episode.
I'm honestly not mad at Lily because it's like everybody already thinks she's crazy, and it's like y'all will be sitting right in my face and y'all probably be talking shit and thinking I'm crazy too. So I'm not mad at her for saying how she felt or whatever. Also, too, they were a little scared of her having the the it killing dagger in her possession, and she pulled a bishop on them. I'm gonna hold on to the gun till I think so, cause I already got it, motherfucker. That's why. Yeah, she pulled a bishop on their ass. She said, "Ain't nobody getting the dagger. I'm holding on to it." Yeah, so I know Lily Bainbridge. She is coming up a little crazy to me. I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
As she refuses to let Will hold and look at the weapon. Now, we'll see Lily keeping this weapon close to her throughout this episode because she knows it'll keep her safe from it. Lily, now driven by trauma, believes they should go back into the sewers immediately.
And what kind of hoe ass motherfucking selfish shit is that? You gonna keep the fucking dagger to yourself because you know it will keep you safe. What about your friends? When they stand their ground? You know what I'm saying?
To use his weapon to killing it. Meanwhile, we watch as Ronnie, being the voice of caution, dismisses this idea and remembering how close they came to death the last time they went down there, as she proceeds to call Lily crazy.
What did you call me?
We can see
Look. Lily gripped up the dagger when she said, "What you call me? You called me crazy?" Hell yeah, Ronnie called your ass crazy because she said you took us down there looking for motherfucking Phil, talking about some he alive. Turns out it was Maddie. It was it disguised as Maddie, and he almost took a bite out of crime on all our motherfucking ass. Hell yeah, you crazy. And we ain't going back down there neither. So I really, really understand where Ronnie was coming from. Not to mention that her father has been hiding out at the black spot where Dick Halloran has all the black soldiers. That's the place where they go and they kick it. He's got him hiding out over there too. So she got her father back. She don't want to go back in the sewer and possibly not come back. Be cool on that.
Lily visibly tightened her grip on the weapon, and for a second, I felt like she wanted to use this weapon on Ronnie, perhaps feeling the influence of violence after coming so close to death by it. Even when Marge tries to step in and take the weapon away from Lily, we see her acting like Gollum with the ring, and she backs away, holding the weapon even tighter. We see
Nah, she was acting like Bishop from Juice. I'ma hold on to the gun till I say so. That look at this face. That's Gollum? No, that's Bishop.
he wanted to use this weapon on Ronnie, perhaps feeling the influence of violence after coming so close to death by it. Even when Marge tries to step in and take the weapon away from Lily, we see her acting like Gollum with the ring, and she backs away, holding the weapon even tighter. We see Lily and Ronnie going back and forth about wishing that they never met each other, as Lily regrets agreeing to helping Ronnie with her father, and Ronnie hitting below the belt, wishing Lily had never been able to leave the asylum to begin with. Now, Rich sees the bigger picture and tries to.
Ooh. I'm gonna ask y'all something. Ain't no friendship perfect. You and your friends tend to get into it every now and then, right? Is there something that they could say in the midst of the argument where you're like, you don't went too goddamn far. We're probably not friends no more. Is there something that somebody could say? If you're in an argument, both y'all wrong as hell, but can somebody really say something that you feel like is crossing the line to the point where y'all not friends no more? Because if I'm Lily, I'm telling them I don't want to hang around y'all. I got the dagger, y'all don't. I hope it turn all y'all into motherfucking pork and beans.
Interject by screaming that this is exactly what it wants by splitting them apart and eliminating them one by one. Now, unfortunately, it's too late as the emotional damage has already been done. Ronnie storms off, Will follows her, and we see Lily leaves alone with the weapon, leaving Marge and Rich to figuring out how to bring everyone back together. Now, back with Dick Halloran, we see him returning back to the black spot. Now, as we discussed in my last breakdown, with his lockbox now being open and his fears and traumas and the dead wandering spirits and his own ghost.
I did, you know what? And I'm glad that somebody just explained what the whole meaning of his lockbox actually meant. Because maybe now that means Dick Halloran's powers are like maybe they could be on a different level because that box is finally open and free. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, he might not be able to tell what's real and what's fake or what's harmful and what's not. And it can play on that.
That haunt him are now free. Now, we don't see what he's looking at, but we can definitely tell that Dick Halloran sees something in the room with them, but he ignores it. Now we watch as Halloran grabs himself a drink and he heads to the back to get some rest, but it's here his friends fill him in on some unexpected company who's occupying the bed in the back. More on that here in a second. Meanwhile, back with Ronnie and Will, we see Ronnie's venting to Will about Lily and she's looking for validation from him, but she's starting to realize that she may have went too far with her. She admits that she's scared, especially with everything going on with her dad right now. We watch as Ronnie hugs Will and it looks like they're about to share a kiss.
I'm glad she admitted that she went too far with what she said to Lily. If y'all are real friends, it's just certain things. Nobody's perfect. There's just certain things you don't say. You know what I'm saying? You know, certain things you don't say to kick your friend while they're down. But I would say this: if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you know if you say this certain thing, y'all not gonna be friends no more, but it has to be said, say it. They'll respect you later, even if y'all aren't friends no more.
But Charlotte arrives and calls her son by his full government name and tells him and Ronnie to get in the car. Man, I'm telling you, Charlotte continues to be one of my favorite moms currently on television.
That's a fact. This is back in the day when the whole neighborhood is supposed to raise the kids together. You're not gonna be around here. That's what we don't have no more. Somebody see somebody's child doing something and you don't say nothing to them because the parent be like, "Don't say nothing to my child. Your child was acting a fool at the gas station. I went and told him to stop all that, and you gonna tell me don't do nothing before they end up in handcuffs." Cool. Nah, back in this time, you get in the car. You get in the car. You're not walking home by yourself. Let's go, young lady. Community.
She's stern, she's protective, and she gets things done, and she's a great mom. I really do hope that Charlotte manages to survive this season, but based on 2017's It Chapter 1, we only saw the older version of Leroy, who's still alive, looking after Mike Hanlon, but we didn't see Grandma Charlotte, which makes me believe that she either left in a divorce at some point after all this, or she dies in these final two episodes. Now, back with Halloran, they show.
Nah, that would be crazy. We not. Yeah, it's got to be some sort of crazy twist to everything for the fact that I got every season of this show ending on some crazy nasty twist that's gonna make everybody go back and watch the original It. Telling you.
Him that Charlotte has Hank hidden in the back room while they figure out a way to get him out of town. This all time back into my predictions I shared throughout the season about how Hank's involvement will be the main catalyst to what will lead to the tragedy of the black spot being set up. But before things get worse, we have a moment of joy as Hank and Ronnie are reunited for the first time since Hank got arrested, and they're beyond excited to see one another again. Now we see Halloran wants nothing to do with this plan as he leaves. And if we needed more proof that things will not end well for Hank and Ronnie, Hank tells Ronnie that they'll never be separated again. Unfortunately, that
anytime somebody do one of those situations where it's like everything will be all right. Tomorrow when we wake up, the sun will be shining. Normally those people end up dead. DED.
that right there is a cardinal sin in the horror genre.
If we're together, and we're gonna stay together. Ain't no one gonna keep us apart ever again. Ever again. Okay. Yeah, let them try.
Never say things like that because 9 times out of 10, the exact opposite ends up happening. It's a safe assumption that Hank will unfortunately not make it out of the situation alive and they will be separated from each other forever. As nighttime approaches, we find Marge and Rich back at the tower getting to know each other a little bit better. We watch Rich kindly helping Marge with her injured eye and he isn't grossed out by her wound. Now we know that Rich has a crush on Marge as we watch them sharing this sweet, innocent moment together.
What I like is that if you go back and look here, she still has her eye. Y'all look, her eye is right under there. It's just she messed up the eyelid. She cut all around it. She cut into it. Yeah, she did a whole lot. But the eye is there. Whether she can see out of the eye, I don't know just yet. But yeah, it's just the eyelid. She cut all up around. She really banged herself up here. Yo, it is vicious.
Injured eye and he isn't grossed out by her wound. Now we know that Rich has a crush on Marge as we watch them sharing this sweet, innocent moment together. But similar to Hank and Ronnie, it is in this moment I knew our boy Rich was in trouble.
That's a fact. You heartless horror fiend gods. You see this right here? one, if not both of them, are going to make it out. Now, I got to be honest. We find out Marge is actually the mother of Richie from the original Losers Club, the one that grows up to be a comic. This is his mom. So obviously she's going to make it out. But his name is Richie, and his name is Richie. What does that make y'all think?
Things aren't going to end well between them, and it being it will absolutely exploit this relationship by causing unimaginable pain to one of them. As we watch Rich continues to see how far his homemade plane can travel throughout Derry, we watch it fly straight into the sewers. To me, this is foreshadowing for Rich inevitably falling
Heavy foreshadowing.
victim to it. To me, the plane represents Rich and his hopes and his innocent joy, and it literally descends into the darkness where it lives. Now,
Maybe Rich sacrifices himself to save the rest of the team, and he on some, y'all make sure if this don't go right, y'all make sure y'all come back and y'all kill it. Damn, man, you think they might kill off Richie? Yeah, Richie about it. He done.
back on base, we find Halloran trying to desperately drink his demons away as Hanlon checks in on him. He informs him about the new orders from Shaw to continue.
Now, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This was my favorite part of this episode. Because if there are any veterans that watch my show, how many times, or watch my show and watch this show, how many times have y'all wanted to act just like Dick Halloran and tell your commanding officer to get up and get what we call the fuck out my face? I'm your commanding officer. You can't talk to me like that. Get the fuck up and get out my face before you get swole. You understand what I'm saying? You can't say that because you'll get prosecuted under UCMJ. It's deemed disrespectful, and again, you don't want to get kicked out of the military for being disrespectful. But how many times have y'all wanted to, either done or have seen this done? Hold up.
In their hunt for the pillars. But again, we see Dick Halloran's got his own problems that he's dealing with as he sees a soldier who died in the room that they're in standing at the door.
Oh, no.
Missing. Now, Hanlon.
Hold on. Let's go back to this. Y'all know that this means that Dick got really, really bad PTSD from him being in the war. And I'm thinking one of his powers that he got is he can see the spirits of people after they're dead. So like he can see ghosts. And that's messed up. And now that his box is open, it's just all of this continuously all around him. And that's like a nutty ass Professor X. You just hearing all the voices and you can't control them. You kind of got to just act like they're not there. Fuck all that.
Standing at the doorway in the bathroom with his face half missing. Now, Hanlon questions what happened to him in the sewers as Dick Halloran tells him what he sees by describing his childhood that was filled with memories of death because of his shining abilities. Now, he tells Hanlon about the lockbox he was told to create by his grandmother in order to hide all the death in his mind. And this was back when he was only 9 years old and he hasn't seen anything until his box was recently opened again.
Did he talk to you?
No. As I recall, they didn't even notice I'm here. Put my hands over my mouth. The voices, they don't ever stop.
Halloran tells Hanlon that the dead are more receptive to knowing more about the unknown, as Hanlon, being the soldier that he is, believes that they can use the dead to
tell them where it is. Look at your stupid face. Just like the fucking military. Instead of using your human instincts, you want to turn something and make it into some sort of weapon. No, nobody wants to talk to the dead. Dummy.
find it.
Did you hear a word I just said?
Right.
Well, that suggestion strikes a nerve with Halloran as he calls out Hanlon for jumping at every single order that Shaw gives him as he yells for him to leave the room. Now, Hanlon's a superior in this situation and threatens Halloran to either continue helping them find it in the pillars or he'll have him sent out in handcuffs.
As soon as he threatened with them handcuffs, Halloran said, "I don't give a fuck. Get the fuck and get up and get out of here. Bust you upside your head with this military special bottle. Get your ass out of here."
Now, sticking at the base, we see Charlotte and Leroy have an argument about his recent behavior, and she tells him where Hank is. As she packs her clothes, she tells him her plans to helping Hank, and after that, she and Will be leaving to go back home to New Orleans. Now, before leaving, she tells him he can join them once he's done serving the country.
What New Orleans or Shreveport, she said. You know what I'm saying? When you done playing Monster Hunter and all that you finna do, then you can come down there and you can get up with us. But me and my family, the only good parent in Derry, you looking at her right there. Charlotte said, me and my kids finna get the fuck on, nigga. Got us in here with a shape-shifting monster that eats kids and feeds on their fear. You talking about some just hold on for a second. Nigga.
That he keeps putting before his own family, and that he needs to make things right with Will first. Now, back at the school, we find Lily in the classroom reliving her encounter with Pennywise in the sewers, as we see she's still holding that weapon close to her for protection. Now, as she opens her desk, she finds her father inside mocking her, which causes her to freaking out in front of the classroom in front of everyone once again. As we see she's still holding that weapon close to her for protection. Now, as she opens her desk, she finds her father inside as we still hold her inside mocking her.
Y'all telling me if y'all saw this, y'all wouldn't have freaked out too? Seeing your pickle dad. Just look at that, man. That's crazy. But I don't know, because she know what she's up against, that might not have been the time to fight. This ain't like Freddy Krueger where you don't know if you sleep or not. It is attacking you in your dreams. It is attacking you while you're awake. All that. So I say that to say this. If she known it wasn't real, she could have. Nah, I still would have freaked out. I ain't gonna lie.
Her, which causes her to freaking out in front of the classroom in front of everyone once again, as we see the weapon is glowing. Now, Lily ultimately leaves the classroom without the teacher's permission. As
y'all know when the dagger glows, that means it is somewhere around there. So it is really just playing with his food at this point. But this is what got him killed by the Losers Club later in the timeline. I wonder how this gonna play out.
And as we see, the weapon is glowing. Now, Lily ultimately leaves the classroom without the teacher's permission as she's headed to her friend looking for some comfort. Now, in the lunchroom, we see Rich tells Marge about Hank's whereabouts as they plan to visit Ronnie in hopes to convincing her to rejoin the team. It's here we get another sweet moment between Marge and Rich as they call themselves the Knight and the Pirate after Rich gives her this.
Oh man, went home on his Mexican shit and made her an eye patch from Buffalo Tuscan leather. You know what I'm talking about? It actually looked nice on her. She started smiling and all that. He's smiling. Yeah, this just ain't gonna end good. Oh man.
Eye patch that came from his ancestors. Now, this may be a defining moment for a lot of you all that didn't like Marge earlier this season, as we watch as the patty cakes come by their table and wants her to join them for lunch, but they make fun of Rich, and unlike the other times that we saw Marge throughout the season, she decides to not join them, and she leaves her plans of becoming a patty cake behind as she...
Oh, see, I just told you, like her eye is there. It's just these stitches. She really cut her shit up. She cut up all around it. But she pulls off her eye patch. She shows the patty case. I am a freak, just like everybody else that you be making fun of, because they wanted her to leave Rich alone. They called him Rich the Freak, basically. And was like, come over here and sit at our table and tell us why you really were over here stabbing up your eye. You know, they just wanted to be nosy. They're not really her fucking friend. Maybe she finally picked up on it.
Pulls her eye patch down and she shows them her eye, and she has no shame in doing so. It was in this moment that I feel Rich fell more in love with her more than ever before. As it's time to convince Ronnie to rejoin the crew and defeating it, we see Rich and Marge hold.
I saw this. I said, okay, Rich, I see you, little one. Got the little vibe riding on the back of the bike with you, and that meant everything probably back in that time. You had a little jump ride on the back of the bike with you. That meant something.
And on to him arrive at the black spot. Now, with love being in the air with the kids, with Rich and Marge, but also with Ronnie and Will, this was a nice little detail because we see when Ronnie opens the door for Will, she smiles at first, seeing his face, but then she realizes that the others are with him, and
her ice grill is on 1,000 when she saw that. She was like, oh, that's nice. You brought them. Nah, you brought that crazy girl with you. We ain't trying to, but nah, you brought these two motherfuckers with you. They ops. You know, brought them to my spot. And my daddy here. You know you wrong.
smile disappears. Meanwhile, back with Lily, we see her seeking comfort from her friend as she arrives at Mrs. Kirsch's house. But before entering, the next door neighbor looks at Lily with a creepy smile. Now, no one answers the door as Lily decides to walk in anyway.
What is the fascination of these fictional people whenever they knock at someone's door and they don't get an answer? They walk in the house anyway. Who does that? You don't just walk in because the door opened a little bit.
And hears music coming from the attic, and she heads upstairs. As she looks around, she finds a photo album, and we get this little Easter egg here because if you notice, the teacup that's in the frame is the same one we saw Mrs. Kirsch using in It Chapter 2 in the scene that she had with Beverly. Now, in this photo album, Lily looks at the pictures of Mrs. Kirsch and Stan getting married, celebrating their anniversary, and more pictures of Ingrid in her younger years. But as she turns the page, we see a younger version of Mrs. Kirsch revealing that she was a nurse from the opening scene that took Mabel into the basement with Pennywise.
Mrs. Kirsch is really old. Even the actress that plays her is 67 years old. She doesn't look it, but she is.
Now, as Lily continues to turn the page, she finds a little Ingrid in 19.
So it's looking like the theories were true that little Ingrid was in fact the little clown girl that we saw in the earlier episode this season that was dressed up as Periwinkle.
1908 with Bob Gray, and Lily starts to see the similarities between him and Pennywise. Now, Mrs. Kirsch arrives as Lily tells her about what happened in the sewers, and she begins crying and runs into her arms. Now, Lily notices more pictures in the corner of the room of Bob Gray dressed as Pennywise.
This was scary when she was hugging Miss Kirsch, and then she looked behind Miss Kirsch and she seen this picture right here, and then she slowly but surely looked over and she seen this scary shit right here. Like, hey man, what the hell? To be honest with you, I'm surprised she ain't body Miss Kirsch because I'm thinking you it at this point.
As Mrs. Kirsch asks if she's seen him and begins crying and laughing with joy.
Oh, sweetheart, you did it. You did it. Oh, Lily. Of course it was you.
She's happy to learn that Lily brought Pennywise back, and Lily notices her old costume in the corner of the room, and it's the same one I suspected she wore.
Oh, so it was also revealed that it wasn't Pennywise that we saw in the dark that the kids took a picture of. Well, no, it was Pennywise. He was the one bringing back the ghost. But this was Miss Kirsch. She's a real crazy person.
That I knew wasn't Pennywise back in episode 4, same one she wore outside of Will's room. Now, this is where Mrs. Kirsch explains her past history with her father, the carnival performer who went by the name and dressed as Pennywise the dancing clown. She claims her father was taken from her, and despite the carnival leaving town, she remained in Derry. We flash back to 1935 to seeing the young Mrs. Kirsch back in the asylum, overhearing Mabel talking to a doctor about hearing from Pennywise. This was the moment she knew that this was her chance to see her father again. We cut back to the basement scene from the opening, but this time we see it in its entirety. We watch as Pennywise greets himself to Mabel and hands her the balloon as Ingrid.
I ain't gonna lie, every time he's introduced, he comes in a wild way. Salute to Bill Skarsgård for really bringing out that Pennywise vibe, man. Giving us what we wanted.
Calls Pennywise Papa, and we can see this look on Pennywise's face that this is an opportunity to using her.
Yep. That quickly, he looked all in her mind, found out why she called him Papa, and he's like, yep, got her. As though, like, it's one of those situations where you might have like a Dracula and you have somebody that's doing his bidding during the day because he can't be out doing it. It's kind of one of those situations, a Renfield situation, if you would. Just evil. He like, not only am I about to eat, look at his face. And not only am I about to eat, but I'm about to get an assistant. Thank you.
By the way, I absolutely love the creative decision of having the flashbacks being in black and white to really highlight the glow in Pennywise's eyes, but also the red balloon and later.
That's a fact. That was a good touch. Shout out to Annie Muschietti. Again, I'm gonna ask this question every episode. Have we forgiven him yet for what he did to the Flash? Is this show making you forgive him yet?
Later on, the blood. It also, to me, symbolizes Ingrid seeing the world in black and white, but the color in her life only came when she was with her papa, Bob Gray, aka Pennywise. Now, not too much after his introduction to Mabel, we see Pennywise attacks as they run away from it. Now, as they're running, we see Mabel falls and gets left behind as Ingrid runs to a steel door that locks behind her, but she notices Mabel isn't behind her anymore and she can't reopen the door. Now, unfortunately for Mabel, she gets eaten on the other.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. When he was at the end of that hall, my man stopped for a second. He made the door shut behind Ingrid, and she hit the, oh no, you're not behind me. I'm such a bad adult. She looks down. Mabel reaches under the door, like, help me, help me. What was she gonna do? She was gonna just pull your body under the door. It stopped, and then he robot walked over to old girl and proceeded to eat her like some Thanksgiving dinner. He destroyed her. It was nasty to hear.
She can't reopen the door. Now, unfortunately for Mabel, she gets eaten on the other side of the door by Pennywise. Now, I personally believe that Ingrid was sad and upset to what happened to Mabel in this moment and probably blames herself for her death, but that all goes
She did, but
away once she hears the carnival music playing and Pennywise disguises himself as her father, Bob Gray.
that's
Pumpkin. It's me, Papa.
He tells
because he could look at your body, he can shape shift and sound exactly like how the people you love sounded. Really, really win over your confidence. All of this to eat some kids this is a lot of energy to eat some kids, bro.
her that he's missed her all these years and he can explain where he's been this whole time if she opens the door and let him in. As we watch, she opens the door and believes her father has returned, but in reality, she has let it warp her mind into believing that this is her actual father. Now, back in the attic, we learn that Mrs. Kirsch has made herself believe that she was freeing her father of the shadow she called Pennywise, and she did whatever she could to assure that she saw her father by basically giving him children
All these years, she's been taking children down to that basement and feeding this entity in hopes that he would give her back her father, who's probably been long dead. I'm not sure if maybe it ate her father and then liked or watched her father, how he interacted with kids and all of that, and saw how a lot of kids were around him and thought that might be a cool, you know, form to have that would draw my prey closer to me. And he just stuck with it.
these years as a sacrifice. Mrs. Kirsch says that her father used to call her Periwinkle and just wants to remind her father of the times they shared together. Now she sees how afraid Lily is in this moment and promises to never hurt her, but she can't say the same for her friends as she believes Lily would understand this sacrifice since she knows what it's like to lose a father. Now, Mrs. Kirsch invites Lily to join her in seeing her father Pennywise again as Lily cuts her hand and escapes the house, screaming in the streets because of the feeling of being betrayed by her.
She's just not, just look at this, y'all. Blood stain on her back. She riding down the street. She done cut this lady hand. She riding down the street screaming. She's never gonna beat the allegations of her being crazy than the motherfucker. Just crazier than a fish with titties. That little girl's never gonna beat them allegations. Say.
Of being betrayed by who she thought was her friend. Yet again, we are reminded that Lily never gets a moment of peace and joy, and she can never catch a damn break. Now, before moving on, I wonder if this explains Mrs. Kerr's relationship with Hank. Did she see Ronnie as a potential way to seeing Pennywise her father again? I wonder if Mrs. Kirsch ever tried to have kids with Stan and use her kids as a way to sacrifice them to seeing her father again as well.
That's a crazy theory. I don't think she had met. I don't think this was a her Hank and Ronnie type thing. I think she was just, you know what I'm saying? She was just getting dug out. She was just getting her cheeks clapped. She didn't even have no dealings with that little girl. No, I don't think it was that, buddy.
I'm pretty confident that this isn't the last time we've seen her backstory and her relationship with it. Again, I'm hoping to get more this season, but I know we'll definitely see it again in both seasons 2 and 3 of this show, and it will probably reveal more of Bob Gray as
It is
well. Now,
1908.
let's take a moment to reflect and actually talk about this Bob Gray backstory and clear some things up about Bob Gray and talk about the birth of Pennywise. Now, in doing so, it's important to remember that this show and the previous It movies under director Andy Muschietti isn't always a one-for-one adaptation of the Stephen King novel It. Now, for those who have read the book, we know that Andy Muschietti has made some creative liberties in telling this story, but he's also expanded and even made certain pieces of the lore a little bit better, going more in depth where the book
I'm not mad at what he's doing. It's slowly but surely making me forgive him.
remain vague, and Bob Gray is one of those examples. Going back to 2019's It Chapter 2, and now in this very episode, it has now been more explicitly shown to us as an audience that Pennywise was an actual clown who has been possessed by it. Now, in my personal opinion, this episode just made it more apparent that Andy Muschietti is separating his Bob Gray from the books, as he's made it more clear that his version of Bob Gray as Pennywise was an actual human being who it most likely killed at some point, and he took his identity and enjoyed it so much that he incorporated his identity as the clown persona into his own Rolodex of monsters.
Okay, okay. See, great theory, right? Great minds think like me.
I
Definitely.
found various interviews dating back to 2019 and even some recent interviews in anticipation of the show of him saying that Bob Gray was important to him and was one of the main reasons that Bill Skarsgård decided to return back to the role. In referencing the book, I found a quote from Andy Muschietti.
Who do y'all think they would have had play Pennywise if Bill Skarsgård did not return to the role? Who do y'all think could have played Pennywise if Bill Skarsgård said, I do not want to come back to this. Y'all not paying me enough money because that's always what it's about. I don't like the script, yada, yada, yada. Who do y'all think could have stepped up and played Pennywise? Good question.
Getty talking about how everything that relates to Pennywise and Bob Gray is very cryptic, and it's like that for a reason, Andy Muschietti said. Probably the success of that character as a monster, as a villain, is because of the crypticness and the uncertainty that people have towards him. We don't know exactly what he is, where he comes from, or how Bob Gray is even related. Was Bob Gray a real person? Is he incarnated in that thing because Bob Gray played a clown? He knew it attracted kids, so it was a perfect bait. Now, for me personally, I've enjoyed the breadcrumbs we've gotten thus far about the origins of Bob Gray and Pennywise, not only in It Chapter 2, but also in this very episode. Now, I'm sure we'll see and hear in coming interviews from the cast and crew about the backstory of Ingrid and Bob and Pennywise connections, and also season 2 and 3 will most likely explore this more. Now, I'm also sure that this will be a topic of conversation after this episode, and I know that some people like myself will like this backstory.
She's going to be the big bad of season 2. She's going to be the big bad of season 2 because, again, she was feeding kids to it in hopes of seeing her father again. And she did whatever she had to do. She got fed a kid. It showed her father. She's going to be the big bad of season 2. Young Nurse Kirsch.
And understanding and origins of Pennywise and Bob Gray, but also know some people will hate it. But let me know in the comments your thoughts and understanding of this backstory that we got in this episode in the comments below. Now, as we come to a close of this 6th episode, we return to the black spot. We see that Will fails to convince Ronnie to rejoin them as she refuses to going back to the sewer.
Ain't nobody taking her ass back in the sewer, man. Hell yeah, she told anybody going back in the sewer. I'm kicking with my daddy, and that's it. I would hate to see Ronnie connect back with her father just to somehow get shut out of that building and watch it go up in flames and she can't do nothing about it. Tragic, but I love it.
Now we watch as Will chases after Ronnie and explains everything to her father, and like any smart parent would, we see Hank refuses to allow Ronnie to go back with them in danger. But Hank also takes notice of Will's obvious interest in his daughter, and
I'd also told him, you ain't going down there neither. What's wrong with you? I'm about to tell all these adults in here what you done did. Hold on, your mama right outside. Hell no, you ain't going to go search for no monster. I'm snitching. Yeah, y'all trying to go get what's wrong with y'all?
the fact that he genuinely cares for her and her safety. Now, this leads to a conversation that we've seen many times in media, but also probably in real life, as we have this classic dad vetting the potential boyfriend routine. Hank wants to get to know Will a little bit better, and like any cinephile would, the important question is, what is Will's favorite film? Now, we spoke to this a couple weeks back, but I think the show is making a major change to the source material. Now, in the book, Mike Hanlon's mother and Will's wife name was Jessica. But in this show, if Ronnie ends up surviving everything going on, I think it's safe to assume that Will and Ronnie will marry each other later in life and become the parents of Mike Hanlon. Meanwhile, at the Falcon Tavern, we see some of the angry men of Derry, including Stan Kirsch and Phil and Susie's father, being upset that they haven't found Hank yet. But now, recently relieved of his duties as chief, we see Bowers telling them exactly where they can find Hank. We end with Holleran still drinking to drown out the noise as he joins the party with the others. We see Richard Morris stay behind to enjoy the
I'm
vibe.
just gonna go past that. The police chief was relieved of his duties. They said he doesn't run shit right around there. And instead of just going to go find another fucking job like a regular person, I'm about to go pout and grape and pillage all over the neighborhood because I'm in my feelings because I got fired. Because I am also the head of the modern day KKK, which is the Legion. What is it? The Society of White Decency. Tell me that ain't the KKK, man. Come on.
Relieved of his duties as chief, we see Bowers telling them exactly where they can find Hank. We end with Holleran still drinking to
Uh,
drown out the noise as he
that's two pronged. I mean, y'all will reinstate me if I go down the street and go burn everything down and catch this fugitive too.
joins the party with the others. We see Richard Morris stay behind to enjoy the vibes, and they have what is called an Air Force Coke and watch people dancing.
I was in the military. I've never heard of an Air Force Coke. Y'all are 100% wrong for giving them children that liquor, man. Coke tastes a little funny. It was Coke and something in there. It might have been Coke and rum, Coke and vodka, Coke and yak. I don't know, but yeah, Air Force Coke. Cool. I'm gonna have to look that up.
And having a great time. We see
I'm really gonna have to look that up to see if that's really. Hold on, man. Let me see if the Air Force Coke is really a thing. Air Force Coke. Okay, so it's just a. It's not really a thing. It's what we thought. Just a Coke with some alcohol. All right.
Hank is pleased with Will's film knowledge and happy to know that he's a good kid and trusts that he can look after Ronnie if anything happens to him, which again makes me think that Ronnie and Will marry each other one day. And this was Hank basically giving him his blessing as Will promises to keeping them both safe on his watch. We
Well,
see Rich gets to join the band.
getting that blessing right mighty early because I got I got it turning goddamn Hank into a little black gingerbread man in the next few episodes, or the next episode or two. And this overly talented uh young man right here, I know he going down. It's too bright. It's a horror show. You got too much aura, too much brightness, too much future type shit. Yeah, he up out of there.
And having a good time and showing off his skills in front of Marge. This whole last sequence to me is a perfect example of the calm before the storm. In this moment,
Yep. Marge fell in love when she seen my man. My man switched up between the looks. Then he pulls some sticks out the back and goes crazy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Richie, man. Shout out to the young kid that's playing Richie. Look, Marge over here just falling in love. He plays the drums too. Yep, he does.
this whole last sequence to me is a perfect example of the calm before the storm. In this moment, everyone is happy, enjoying each other's company, and
Yep,
they're free of the horrors of Derry and it. It kind of reminded me of the scene in Sinners when they were at the juke joint before the vampires came and ruined everything.
that's exactly what it remind you of. If y'all watch the show, y'all know the vibes.
Now, our last shot showed Mrs. Kirsch dressing up in her old outfit, ready to find her papa Pennywise, and most likely headed to the black spot, which again makes me believe that she set up Hank this whole time. But here's where the real horror
Oh no. She told them where to find Hank at. That's okay. I get it now. Full circle. They all go there, wreak all that havoc, all that fear gets incited. She just knows she's gonna end up seeing Pennywise somewhere.
Or arrives. As Bowers and the others, now with masks and guns, are prepared to fulfill the augury and start one of the most horrific events in Derry's history.
My man was outside just talking to her, just vibing, and they pulled up with their little Hollywood plastic dollar store mask. And my man said, "Get behind me." This is about to end up bad. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. That ended with a whole lot of suspense. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That was from Movie Files. Please go give them a like, comment, and subscribe, man. How y'all feeling this sesh this time? Everybody that rolled all the way out, went along for the ride. Welcome to Derry, chapter episode 6. How y'all feeling about that? How y'all feeling about that? Do we have any early predictions on what could happen on the last episode? Because you know, the next 27 years that comes after that, the next cycle that comes after that is the original Losers Clubs, which is it chapter 1, chapter 2. Y'all let me know, man. This was a good sesh. I'm super duper fried. Your boy Slave DBIC, man. Salute, salute, salute. I'm gonna catch y'all a little bit later. Beginning the week off right with a good sesh. Holla at me, man.